goes for its second win in a row from Richmond, Virginia. Carolina Crusher has other ideas. But first, the Gravedigger has a close encounter with the wall. And Wildhair joins him. Wallflowers, they're not. Don't touch that dial. Virginia State Capitol Building in Richmond, Virginia. And TNT Motorsports is in Richmond, Virginia this week with Tuff Trax on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. We'll be at the Richmond International Raceway specifically to see incredible action on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge as an outstanding crowd is on hand to welcome the TNT Monster Trucks into Richmond. And there you see the best monster truck drivers in the world being introduced to this huge crowd. Now, last week, Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger got the win here on Tuff Trax. Army Armstrong is with last week's winner.
Welcome to Richmond, Virginia, where the monster trucks are battling on pit row tonight. Last week's winner, Dennis Anderson, is going to be carrying the great flag that everybody's going after, but that flag gets tough and tough to hold on to each week, doesn't it, Dennis?
Yeah, it really is. I've been holding on to the flag, and I don't know. I'm going to try to hang on to that flag out here tonight. We got a lot of tough trucks. All the top name trucks are here. Everybody's charging hard. They're really battling for these points. Everybody wants to win, which I want to win too. But this is a narrow, kind of a dangerous course. And I'm under a little handicap. I've got a standby motor in my truck for this race. We're getting another motor underway, but I don't know. I think maybe with this smaller motor that I've got them pretty much under control, because a big motor out here is not going to really do a whole lot. I mean, we've got a narrow course to work with here, and I feel like I can keep the truck in line with the little bit of power that I do have.
Well, Dennis Anderson believes he's going to be able to hang on to that flag, but he's going to be having to stay in front of a whole lot of trucks. USA 1, Rod Litzel, he's his home turf. He's outside where he can really leg that big motor. The Leadfoot truck all the way from Arizona. And don't forget, Scott Stevens back on tour with us, the awesome King Crunch Chevrolet.
Last week, right here on Tuff Trax, it was wild, wild, wild for David Morrison, the equalizer. Look at this ride, up on his side, flipping all the way back over, steering off the wheel on his roof. Morris got out okay, and as amazing as it seems, that truck that you're looking at will be in competition today. The national point leader has got her back together. We'll have more on that amazing story later, but also today on Tuff Trax, sensational TNT All-American Pulling Series action from Fisherville, Virginia. Today we're going to be looking at the 9,200-pound modified tractors in action. Now, Mike Piper, just to add dirt, will be on the track, and it's a very hard track as he gets ready to make a test full. And I guess one of the things about being in Fisherville today, Army, is that the track is such a big factor.
Well, normally the pullers really love clay, and we've got some great clay here. The only problem is we got about 97-degree temperature. The sun is baking the clay about 2.5 inches deep. It doesn't take 20 minutes to bake the clay. It's like pulling on an asphalt track right now. These drivers are really having some problems, along with the sled operator, trying to figure out how to get this sled down this track.
Mike Piper out of Mount Vernon, Illinois, is our test puller. You can see a cloud of dust going up, and he can't get it going at all. No. Can't seem to get a bite, Army.
A cloud of dust and a Hi-Ho Silver, and it's not going to work in Fisherville. They may actually have to change tracks. There's another track at Fishersville. They may have to go over on the other track, trying to find a little bit softer bite.
Everybody's really confused now, and I think we're going to take a look at another tractor and get David Banner and Mr. Chevy out and see how he hooks up.
Okay, now Banner goes off the number one lane, the same lane that Piper ran out of. You notice instantly, they get dust instantly up on the horsepower. They're really screaming these engines are hurt. Oh, looky here, Banner lifts an engine. The back engine on the right side explodes, and Banner is showing you cannot get the sled to stick to this track.
You're right. The track is just too hard. Here they come right now, and we're going to have to move the whole class over to the other track.
Yeah, the track crew, to be safe for everybody and to be fair, they're going to have to go to where they can put this horsepower into the track and make it work.
We'll be looking at that action with all these great modified tractors coming up a little bit later. Hopefully the track service will give them a little better break. We'll see some great competition. But when we return, back up to Richmond for the awesome power of the TNT Monster Truck. It's the qualifying round highlights. Tuff Trax is brought to you by the Nintendo Entertainment System. Nintendo, now you're playing with power. We'll be right back. I'm sure this isn't your idea of a great dinner, but it's about to become the main course for some of the world's most powerful monster trucks. Hi again, everyone. I'm Scott Douglas. Welcome to Tuff Trax. Today, great action for the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And coming into today's event at Richmond, here's the national point standings. David Morrison, equalizer, with a 12-point lead over Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher. Gravedigger still very much a part of the chase for the national championship. The defending national champ USA 1 and Nightlife have both been coming on as of late. Then the Breen boys, Bob and Wild Hair, John and Mad Dog, no problem, and John Moore, 8th in the standings. Stomper and the Master of Disaster rounding out the top 10 on the TNT National Points as we're back in Richmond, and last week's winner, Dennis Anderson of Gravedigger, will be getting ready to qualify.
Well, in front of his own home state crowd, Anderson would like to make it back-to-back wins on this tour. The silver flag on the back indicates the last winner. Qualifying is so very important because this track is less than ideal with the setup they have, and Anderson, like everybody else, wants to qualify in the top half of the field, and that's an 8:13, Scott. I don't know if that's going to hold or not.
We'll just have to get a look. Some of the times last week were a little quicker, but then again, tracks and courses change. We'll find out as they set these times down. And one of the guys who is expected to put down a quick time is this fella, Steve Kane, an awesome Kong out of Killeen, Texas.
You know, Steve Kane has been around a long time and has not received a lot of notoriety, but this kid is a good monster truck driver. He's definitely an up-and-comer. He's teamed up with Jeff Dane. They qualify strong, very quick at a 7:56, so Kane's showing it can be done.
And right now, he's the fast qualifier. The guy coming after him next will be Scott Stevens, King Crunch out of Woodlands, Texas. A truck last week you talked about in Length Army. He broke last week. Let's see if he's in better shape today.
If Stevens had a transmission problem, he's notorious for his finish line jumps. Keep an eye on him. He has a good run going. He's going out. Look at that. All the way over. Completely cleared the second set of cars. And he sits in that big monster truck with a grin from ear to ear. That Texan is going to be tough.
Right now, watch him come into your living room over everything. He cleared them all, just barely clipped the last set of cars.
He's got a new concept with the truck. He went to the rear engine setup. He runs the autometer computer on board. He gets a constant readout. He's staying up technology-wise with any other form of motorsports. But speaking of staying up, can you believe the story here?
Unbelievable story. David Morris and the equalizer flipped 1 week ago here on Tuff Trax, but they're back and ready to go today. Owner-builder Gary Cook has the truck ready.
Gary, real quick, I know you're busy. What exactly did you break on the truck last night?
We broke the axle and spindle off the left-hand side, the steering knuckle on the right-hand side, the tie rod, the steering cylinders, the shock.
Other than that, though, the truck's fine, right?
Yeah, other than the body work. We're going to try to get it running tonight, though. We don't ever give up.
And that kind of sums it up in this sport. They never give up. They'll battle, and make sure it's ready. And indeed, Equalizer is going to be ready to go. Once again, here's what happens. He gets up, and it's one of the most spectacular flips we've seen all season. And the fact that they're even ready to go this week is an amazing story and a tribute to Gary Cook, David Morris, and the entire team.
Well, you talk about a ride. That young man took one. All the safety equipment did exactly what it was supposed to do. You can look right in the driver's compartment. You see him unbuckling the shoulder harness and literally stepping out. Speaking of stepping out, it's time to see if he can step out and step up in this qualifying session.
David Morrison, equalizer out of Springfield, Tennessee. And again, it's an amazing story that he's even running. And let's see how he does. A lot of vibration, a lot of bounce coming off that first set of cars. Pretty decent run, but I'm not sure, Army, he let it all hang out. He just wanted to see what he's got.
He was just trying to get a piece of the hair of the dog that bit him last week. He'll be back. That first run after an accident is very important. Now it's under his belt. He can concentrate on driving real hard.
Despite the flip, he still is the national point leader. Here's the defending national champion, Rod Liptow, in the USA 1 out of Spring Lake, Minnesota.
Now, Scott, if he's going to defend that national championship, he's got to start doing it now. He can't wait. These other guys have caught him. They're making it tough on him, and he's having problems of his own right here in Richmond in the drivetrain category.
Yeah, he's broken a transmission. I think, look, you see him. He's done again. Army just can't get it going.
Every run the truck has made, he's twisted his drive shaft, either the front or the rear. I don't know what the problem is.
That may be it for USA 1 today. Very bad break for Rod Listell. Here's Jerry Porter, Carolina Crusher. Last week, electrical problems knocked him out. Let's see if Porter has got things back together.
Well, what's bad news for one could be good news for the other. With USA 1 out, that gives Porter an opportunity to really get up in this points battle in an awfully good run, smooth run. Porter's looking strong. He's definitely going to be in there this evening.
Fast time right there. He has eclipsed the time earlier from Awesome Kong. So, Jerry Porter, 7.46 is your fast qualifier. He's earned himself a bye run. That's how important that good run was. Wild Hair will meet Stalfer when we come back with the first round. Equalizer will go up against Mad Dog. King Crunch is Scott Stevens against last week's finalist Dave Wychorek and Nightlight. Then it's Dennis Anderson trying to make it 2 in a row in Gravedigger against John Moore and the No Problem Ford Bronco. And rounding out that first round, it'll be Leadfoot and Clydesdale. That'll be a dandy. And Awesome Kong against Jersey Outlaw. Some great matchups are coming your way in the first round on Tuff Trax. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, you'll see it. Side-by-side monster truck coming right into your home here on Tuff Trax. I'm Scott Douglas with Army Armstrong on Tuff Trax. You get a look at downtown Richmond, Virginia, where we have brought the TNT Monster Truck Challenge to the Richmond International Raceway in Richmond, Virginia. Oh, certainly Richmond Race is one of the favorite stops for all the guys with TNT Monster Truck Challenge.
Oh, everybody loves to be in Richmond. These people in this part of the country, they really know their motorsports, and twice a year, or 3 times a year, with the NASCAR boys coming in here twice, us in here once, they're treated to the best of each kind of sport.
We're ready for the first round. Now, when we showed you the brackets before the break, you may have noticed USA 1 was indeed not in the bracket. That broken transmission has knocked him out, so the defending national champ continues to have problems and will not be in the competition today. All right, a bye run for Carolina Crusher. This is just to get a little better feel for the lane.
A bye run, but he qualified and made his quick qualifying time out of the right lane. Scott, did you notice what lane he took the bye run out of? He went to the left, just checking it out.
All right, our first matchup will send Bob Breen and Wild Hair right there up against Marvin Smith and the Stomper Chevrolet from Arnold, Missouri.
Bob Breen is really starting to flex his muscle on this tour. The truck's taking some really weird bounces, making a lot of horsepower, but the rear engine trucks are really starting to show some force right now. The only exception being Porter with the Carolina Crusher and the USA 1.
You see problems for the Stomper, and it's an easy win for Bob Breen and Wild Hair out of Jefferson City, Missouri. Well, here's the other Breen Boys racing toy, that being Mad Dog, up against Equalizer. Now we'll begin to find out if Jerry Cook's truck is back rolling well, and if David Morris is gun shot.
David Morris comes right back in the saddle. Looks like he's going to pick up where he left off. He's back, and I'm glad to see it. The kid took a real wild ride, but he's back on course. Congratulations to he and Gary.
No problem with gun shyness there, as Morris flat put the hammer down and gets a pretty easy win. Dave Wychorek and Nightlife made it to the finals out of Grand Island, Nebraska last week. Let's see if he's still doing well in Richmond as Nightlife goes up against King Crunch.
Yeah, look at Crunch working the right side, loses an engine and stays after it, Scott. I don't know who won.
Side by side, they crossed the finish line with smoke billowing from King Crunch. He still had the momentum, and he gets the victory. King Crunch is the winner. Wow.
Boy, you talk about good side-by-side racing. They both lead. Now, watch Crunch. He has a cylinder going away on the left side of the engine, but stays after. You know, it's like jumping off a high dive. Once you go, you got to go. They don't pay second. They only pay for first.
Boy, they really came across that finish line together, but the victory goes to King Crunch. All right, John Moore and the No Problem Ford Bronco from Lafayette, Tennessee will square off with Gravedigger, the crowd favorite from right here in Virginia, Chesapeake, Virginia, Dennis Anderson.
Both drivers said they're going to do whatever it takes to put a win under the belt. A good side-by-side run into Donnybrook. Look, oh, both trucks in trouble, Scott.
Over the wall, Dennis Anderson scatters everybody, but Gravedigger got the win. He was inbounds all the way down the course. His problems came at the end, but that had to be a scary moment.
God, I'll tell you what, both of those trucks got into the wall. Anderson on the left of your screen takes a real weird bounce. He goes physically over the wall, but on the right side of your screen, watch John Moore. He gets into the retaining wall also. Boy, do not think for a minute that this is not literally a war on wheels out here. Anderson goes over to the left. and no problem bangs into the wall to the right.
Poor cameraman down at the end of the track didn't know where to go. It was breaking loose on both sides of the track. You can see both of those tires flattened on no problem as Moore hit the wall. Digger actually went over the wall and didn't seem to be damaged by it.
Dennis Anderson, to say it was wild would be an understatement. You know, they put these pit walls up to keep people out of the pit area.
Yeah, they did. The walls aren't very tall for these big monsters, and I come off the end of the cars in a real weird bounce, and I was afraid that I was going to, if I crammed on the brakes to keep from getting over the wall, I might flip the truck over. I really don't know what happened. I kind of got shook up and shook around a little bit, so I just dove for the wall.
Well, John Moore went into the wall on the other side of the track on the very same run. You were bounced over this wall. He was going into the other. You know, what goes through your mind when you're coming over this finish line and you're that close together? You got together actually in the middle of the track and then went away from each other.
Right, well, that's what it was. I think we kind of got scared. Both of us got together. I'd rather tie up with the wall in a way than tie up with somebody else's truck, because I feel like the wall is not that tall. I can get over the wall without tearing the truck up. But if I get into somebody else's truck, there's going to be some severe damage.
So you understand now why Dennis Anderson went ahead, squared himself up and went over the wall, and Moore had the problem, ended up sideways into the wall and got a couple of flat tires.
You know, it's really amazing. People, right there's a perfect example of how tough it is to drive a monster truck. You really got to be a thinker if you're going to get in one of these trucks.
You just got a good look at two tough guys who are ready to go at it right now. It'll be Leadfoot, as you saw there a moment ago, and Ron Dennis from Flagstaff, Arizona, against Bennett Clark in Clydesdale out of Georgia.
Bennett Clark out of Georgia, the ex-Bravo bull rider, gets a good hole shot, but look at this kid from Arizona coming back. No, Clark is past the finish line.
Nobody's finished this like Bennett Clark does.
He comes through there like a fast-moving freight. The last 50 feet, you got to be out on that guy or he's going to hammer you.
So let's get a look at the replay. He really didn't have to hammer it. Of course, as you mentioned, Army, he's going all out. But here's what happened to Leadfoot.
Yeah, the Arizona truck goes over the center line. He has to back out of the throttle. But remember, you race to the front of you, not to the left and the right and the rear. Bennett Clark didn't know it. He was going for broke.
And he gets the victory. Clydesdale will move into the quarterfinals. Our final opening round matchup brings Awesome Kong and Steve Kane, the Texan, back out, and he'll go up against the Ford, who doesn't like Chevys anyway, Mike Wine, and the Jersey Outlaw Ford out of Browns Mills, New Jersey.
If I was going to be driving a monster truck in this course, I would want to drive Awesome Kong. The reason being, you can see, notice how the driver, Awesome Kong, he's driving the same style, he's attacking the track. The narrow body lets him see where the wheels are on the truck. He doesn't worry about the wall as much as anybody else, but a good run for the Jersey Outlaw Ford also.
Well, you're still right about Steve Kane, though. It's an all-out attack on the course by the driver from Killeen, Texas. Here's Army and Steve.
Steve stepping into that driver's seat, major step, but you're doing exactly what you had to do. One race at a time on a real tough situation here in Richmond.
Yeah, it's coming into driving this truck was kind of a big step, you know, after driving our other truck. But I feel that I'm doing a pretty good job at doing it. We've been having a little bit of problem with our motor and stuff like that here, but I believe we're getting it worked out.
That wraps up the first round of competition. Still more great monster truck action coming up. But when we return, you just won't believe your eyes. 7 engines on a tractor. That's right. It's the TNT All-American Pulling Series from Fisherville, Virginia. Power, power, and more power when Tuff Trax continues. Getting ready to take a look at the thundering power of the 9,200-pound modified tractors on the TNT All-American Pulling Series. I'm Scott Douglas with Army Armstrong on Tuff Trax. As we get ready to take a look at the competition in Fisherville, Virginia, let's check the point standings on the TNT All-American Pulling Series. And the Mission Impossible is out front, but there's great competition right behind it. Sassy Massey, Mean Mistreater, the Just Add Dirt with Mike Piper we'll look at in just a moment. Cracklin Rose rounds out the top 5. Then we go to the Virginia Farmer, Dirt Slinger Texan at number 7. There's Dave Banner, who we've already seen once today in Mr. Chevy. Levi Garrett and the Rollin' Thunder round out the top 10. It'll be Mike Piper and the Just Add Dirt, the test puller, getting ready to go. Now, Army, when we looked at things a minute ago, you mentioned we could change track. That is exactly what's going to happen.
What they're trying to do, Scott, the sun is actually baking this surface within about 10 to 15 minutes. It gets rock hard. Now, Mike Piper's already made one run. Keep in mind, each engine's $30,000 a pop. You don't want to run these engines any more than you have to. They made a track change. He has to go back, and he's the 10th puller now. So he's really starting to lean on a whole lot of equipment on a real tough track. And look at the ground speed. Piper bangs it out going
It's a full pull for just add dirt. But they're going to look at it. It's a test pull and probably re-add weight. Look at the tires, Army.
God, the situation, it is literally disintegrating the tires. You notice where I'm holding right here? He's just peeling it off the carcass of the tire. And Piper cannot come back. If they add weight, he's going to be out of this thing. No points, no money, a tough break for this kid.
And you see they're adding weight. 2 pulls for nothing.
Yeah, very expensive pulls, you might add.
What tough break, and you feel for Mike there. Dollar Devil, Pat Friel, defending national champion, ready to go at it now. Well, let's see if he's picked up anything off what's happened to Mike and where he's going to go on the track.
Friel lines up the West Express Trucking Chevrolet powered vehicle, goes right down the middle with 5 engines, and it's not going to work for him. You notice how they get down and start to muscle. He didn't have the ground speed that Piper did. Only a 220 is the word we get.
Obviously not happy with it. Pat Friel, the defending national champion, and the Dollar Devil coming up short here today. Army's with him right now.
Well, Pat, Mother Nature's kind of playing havoc on this track today.
Yeah, they're having an awful lot of trouble getting the sled set for this track. I believe they will get dialed in. There's some high horsepower tractors back there. I understand the problem with the sled. They're trying to stop them guys, and it's tough to get a 5-motor tractor to run good at the end and get a 7-motor tractor too. I understand the problem. Right now we're discussing the limits and maybe get everybody a little more equal. And I really agree with the limits and hope they come through.
What Pat's discussing is TNT's consideration of limiting horsepower, limiting the size to 4 or 5 engines, because here's what he's talking about.
Yeah,
7 engines
yeah,
right
exactly. You got 7 engines, and everybody keeps adding more and more and more, and you're not really going anywhere. So what they want to do is come up with a cubic inch limit, like 2,500 total cubic inches, and let everybody run off of that. And I believe all the drivers are very receptive of it. One of the main reasons being the cost factor. Look at Banner, back on, back off the throttle, trying to get the horsepower to stick, looks around. Not going to be there for him either.
So you'll see the distance on Dave Banner in the Fox at 223.87. He's your new leader. 7-engine tractor once again. You may notice the 7th engine actually located behind the driver. He's got it down, and he took the lead with that pull.
Dave, when you left the start line, he kept backpedaling. With the horsepower you got, this track just can't hold it today, is what it looks like from this end.
The track on a hot day like this, he's got a little hard for us, and it's really going to be difficult to get a good pass out there on this track.
The word from Dave Banner. There's your current national point leader on the TNT All-American Pulling Series, Tim Engler, and the Mission Impossible. Army spent some time earlier today with Engler, the driver of the strongest vehicle in motorsport.
Well, in Fisherville, Virginia, the second stop in quest for the national championships on the Redman TNT Championship Circuit, your current national points leader in the modified tractor division, Tim Engler out of Princeton, Indiana. Tim, the competition for 89 in the national championships, can you sum it up for us real quick?
Oh, I don't know if you can sum it up, Army, but I would say that we were very fortunate in Nashville to have a good run down there. The tractor really performed well, and anytime you go up against last year's Redman TNT Point Championship winner, Pat Friel, the Banner brothers, Fred Freeman, the Walsh brothers, the list goes on and on and on. And I would say that definitely this is the most competition we've ever run against in the point circuit.
Yeah, but knowing how competitive you are, I think you're going to kind of like it. You want to go out there, if you're going to win, you want to beat the best, and I definitely believe the best are gathered for competition for this championship this year with the Redman Tour.
That's true. Redman's really put up a lot of money for us all to run for, and anytime we go out and pull, we want to pull with the best competition in the whole world.
Well, we definitely believe that they're going to be here competing for these national championship points. And one of the things that's unique about Mr. Engler standing with me is the fact he was the first tractor to actually go out and compete with the 7-engine combination. Now, some of the other drivers are starting to work that way. And you got to remember, in this sport, it's all set by weight. 7 engines at 9,200 pounds. Everybody says, well, you've got more engines than the other guy. You ought to win, but that's really not the case, is it, Tim?
No, Army, it's not. A lot of times it really makes it easier if you have a good power track. A lot of times, if the track's not as good, or the type of soil that you're on in different parts of the country is a little bit looser or softer than the tractor with 7 engines, the front end of the tractor is much heavier, and it really takes a lot different skill or actual adjustments and gear ratio combination with the tractor. It's harder to make a high-powered tractor hook to the track than it does a tractor that has quite a bit less horsepower, because basically you can drive the lesser horsepower tractor the same pretty well in every track condition.
So, Tim Engler now ready to get going, Army, on his pull here at Fisherville.
One thing we got out of the interview, the word finesse. You've got to be smooth. Now, watch Engler. He's one of the sharpest drivers. Watch the first 3 feet. on the throttle, off the throttle, and then nailed it right back again, and it generates the horsepower. The ground speed, the horsepower combination. Look at that, Ron Scott. It is perfect.
Sensational. He's very close to getting it out. A great run for Mission Impossible. He only needed to beat 223 to take the lead. Look at that. 297.62. Mission Impossible and Tim Engler now firmly your leader in Fisherville. But as he talked about earlier, some of the best tractors around are going to take a shot at him a little bit later. When we come back, though, it's Monster Truck up against the wall in Richmond on Tuff Trax. Tuff Trax roars back into Richmond, Virginia on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. It's time for the quarterfinals. Carolina Crusher's there as virtue of a bye run. He'll meet Wild Hair in the quarterfinals. Our other quarterfinal matchups will send the Equalizer up against King Crunch, and that's going to be a dandy. Equalizer earlier dispatched Mad Dog. King Crunch knocked off Nightlife, who, of course, was in the finals a week ago. Gravedigger beat No Problem in that wild matchup earlier, and look at this. No Problem was the fast loser, so they come back for a rematch in the quarterfinal round. Lead Pudding Clydesdale. You'll remember Clydesdale got that victory, and he meets Awesome Kong in the quarterfinals. Army Armstrong is trackside as we get ready for the quarterfinal round of check conditions.
Right now we're standing at what I believe is the most interesting part of this course, that being the very end of the first jump, the first set of cars, if you will. You'll notice the left side of that first set are all mashed down or even developing holes the drivers are worried about. Meanwhile, the other side of the coin, nobody at all has even approached the right side of the vehicles. The reason being, the right side of them are located right next to the big white wall here at the Speedway. This white wall is intimidating these monster truck drivers, and believe me, before the night's over, this wall is going to play a major role in the elimination.
Carolina Crusher and that guy, Bob Breen and Wild Hair. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Two guys who will really put this hammer down and really could come out of here with a win today.
Yeah, I guarantee you, this is an interesting setup. This is the time to get excited. Bob Breen's on a roll. He's looking good. The Carolina Crusher, you know he's a strong charger. Crusher works the left side. Breen's going to have to go after him on the last jump. Breen's got to go now. Not going to do it. Breen's in trouble, Scott.
Crusher got the win, and Breen's on the wall. Look at him. He straddled it, sitting right over it, started to go over and then just ease the truck to keep himself from flipping or from getting in big trouble. He just kind of straightened it out and straddled.
Boy, Bob Breen really came after the Crusher on the final jump. But right here, when he landed, he was thrown out of shape. Bang, bounces right over. Now, Bob Breen took a real impact there. It doesn't look like it, but that truck stopped instantly for him, and Breen's shaking up.
Boy, he is. The TNT officials over to look at him and make sure Bob's okay. They'll talk with him, and hopefully he's all right. Army making his way over now to talk to the winner of that wild race, Gary Porter of Carolina Crusher.
Well, kind of an interesting situation. We're walking down pit road here. We notice a young man sitting on the wall. Gary Porter, what are you trying to do, make friends with this wall?
That's what I'm trying to do, because it seems like everybody's having, the problems with this wall tonight. We're so close to it.
What is causing it? When you guys are bouncing and you're in the air, the truck's just going to the wall, and by the time you get to correct, you're there?
Yeah, the truck seems like everybody's getting one or two bounces, and I'm trying, when I'm in the air in the bounce, I'm trying to steer to correct the truck when I'm in the air, so whenever it lands, it'll go away from the wall.
Is everything okay on your truck? You ready for the next round?
Everything seems to be fine. Last week I lost the flag, so I'm here to try to win the flag back.
Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher. He's got the victory over Bob Breen and Wild Hair. Bob with that wild ride that left him straddling the wall. There you get a look at Bob Breen. He's going to come out of that driver's suit. Obviously a bit shaken. The EMT's working their way over to take a look at him, but we're getting a word here that he's okay. Army Armstrong right now is working his way over to talk to Bob Breen about that incredible ride.
Bob, an awful wild ride. You just checked out by the EMTs. A little bit dizzy when you came out?
Yeah, my head hit the roll bar, and I got crooked in between the cars, and I couldn't get it straightened out, and I should have backed out, and I didn't do it.
You're going to be okay, though?
Yeah, I'm fine. It kind of scared me more than anything else, I think.
But he's smiling now, and Bob will get that truck ready, and he'll be back in action. We're going to look now at our next matchup in the quarterfinal round as Bob Breen now becomes a spectator, like a lot of us, to see Clydesdale and Awesome Kong under the beautiful Richmond sky.
Well, like you said earlier, these people in Richmond are used to seeing some good racing, Scott. They're seeing some tonight. This next lineup is going to be a war in itself. Remember, the history on Clydesdale is the finish line is where he's going to get you. Let's see what's going to happen.
He's not going to get a chance. Awesome Kong has put him away, and he put him away fast.
Yeah, big time. This Steve Kane kid, like I say, he's underrated. This boy is a good monster truck driver.
He is an attack driver. You've really classified him so well. Army's going to get over there and get a word with a guy who goes all out all the time. Talking about Steve Kane from Killeen, Texas.
Steve, another step. You're still in this thing.
Well, I feel that I came here to win, and that's what I'm going to do. That's all there is to it.
The truck looks good. Everything, no liquids, no breakage or nothing. Still a strong player. This could be it for you.
Yeah, I feel it is. The truck's running good. You know, I feel that we're going to do real good this year. We're going to get us a good sponsor or something like that, and we're going to take it all this year, I hope.
He's got an excellent chance to do it today because he's running very, very well. Well, here's one of the big stories of today's event here on Tuff Trax. Equalizer after that slip as badly as they tore the truck up. We've talked about it several times already, but he's back and rolling. With each round, it gets tougher, and now he matches up with King Crunch.
Equalizer works the left side, comes out real good, but Scott Stevens coming after him on the inside. Whoa, I think they may have gotten together.
Equalizer definitely got the win.
That was some heads-up driving by that kid out of Tennessee. And the driver from Texas. I believe they actually touched, Scott.
We'll find out right here as we get to replay now with these two trucks coming side by side. They're okay at this point. Now you can see King Crunch drifting to the middle, and indeed even Morris comes a little bit to the middle, and there's contact.
Yeah, they get together, definitely. Heads-up driving by both of those guys.
Boy, they were able to get her straightened out, and you know Morris had to be thinking about that slip from last week, or at least you would think he is. Army's going to go over and talk to David Morris.
David, it just keeps getting wilder and wilder. Were you aware that he was getting into you at the second set of cars?
No, I could see a glimpse out of the corner of my eye. I knew he was close to me, but I had no idea that if he was getting that close to me.
He was. They made contact. Both trucks okay, though. You know, both those guys, we saw Morris last week. King Crunch has had a couple of wild slips, too. So they're guys who know about rough rides.
Hey, Scott, look what we got coming back. Through a loser bracket, they're going to come back. The last time they ran, each one of them hit or got over a wall. This time, the only difference, they're going to swap sides.
No problem. He's back in. He was a fast loser. Reinflated those tires, and he's going again. Gravedigger looks so awesome when the sky gets dark, and those red lights lead Gravedigger to another victory. He gets the win over no problem, and you can hear the crowd just roaring for the home state guy out of Chesapeake, Virginia.
Dennis going to the semifinals. What can we say? You went to the other side that time.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried that left lane then. I got a pretty good shot out of it. It's still, I'm getting a little wobble in it, but I've changed the steering on. I got real fast steering. It's a little bit over-responsive. I'm trying to get used to it for courses like this so I can correct really quick. But I don't know. I think I might have to slow my steering down some.
It has been wild, and it's going to get wilder a little bit later when we come back to Richmond for the semifinals. But after this quick break, it's modified tractor pulling. We will answer the question, is beating Tim Engler becoming a mission impossible? You'll find out next on Tuff Trax. TNT Motorsports and the awesome power of Tuff Trax. Back to Fisherville, Virginia for the TNT All-American Pulling Series. And here's the way we stand. We see Mission Impossible takes the lead from the Fox and David Banner. Dollar Devil and Pat Friel's currently standing third. But Army Armstrong, they have got to do something to knock Tim Engler out of that top spot. You're almost going to have a full bull to get by Mission Impossible. And this track, I don't know if it's conducive to going all the way out.
What's so amazing is Engler has everybody covered not by inches, by 70 feet, Scott. 70 feet, that is just unheard of.
Phil Patterson coming out now in Sassy Massey. Here's a guy who might be able to give Engler a run. Phil's laying down a good run.
He works the right side of the track. Looks good. The ground speed's there. It's a good run, but Engler's going to dodge this bullet, and it was a big one.
A real big bullet. 286.20 for Sassy Massey. That'll leave Phil Patterson in second.
Well, Phil, if you had to put in terminologies what that run felt like, what did it feel like in the driver's seat?
Al, if you were trying to run a 100-yard dash just as fast as you could and somebody was out there throwing marbles under your feet, that's exactly what the run felt like.
Well put, and I guess that really kind of puts it in layman's terms. You can understand that. In other words, friends, it's tough out there, and Dave Lawson, the Irish Challenger out of Boston, Wisconsin, is going to be the next guy to find out.
You know, this kind of gets back to that word Tim Engler did not say, the word being finesse. You've got to smooth down this track. We got a problem with the right front engine. He's got out on him already. He doesn't know it. He's still trying to run. He's got one engine dead in the water.
See if official distance for the Irish Challenger, Walsh at 263.36. Pretty good. Looks like it could have been throttle linkage on that right front motor. Well, I'm going to tell you, this track right now is as hard as I-64 just outside the racetrack. And Army, it's tough on these machines.
Well, anybody that follows motorsports knows that there is such a thing as a tire war. 1988 was the year of the tire war in different racing circles. We've kind of got a unique situation in this sport. We've got our own tire war going. A lot of the major manufacturers are involved in it, but one thing that's interesting about this class today, Scott, is that everybody that's taking a shot out of this lane in the modified tractor division, one run is going to cost you $3,000 in tires. The track is just that tough in tearing them up. $3,000 for 2 tires.
That puts it in a perspective I think we can all relate to. The next guy who's about to lay down $3,000 worth of run and hope he can cash the first place check. That'll be the Rolling Thunder, Mitch Stifler out of Jarrettsville, Maryland. Again, he's got to beat the sensational run of 297.62 that Tim Engler and Mission Impossible put down.
A little bit light on the nose, that's going to cost him ground speed. They figured the ground speed out, but the sled's still getting real heavy. It's about the 200-foot mark on, it's really tough to pull. Rolling Thunder only at a 251.53, Scott.
And that gives him a quality run, 4th best right now. So it's going to assure him of a pretty good finish, but certainly nowhere near Engler's run in excess of 297 feet. All right, our next contestant, if you will be John Powell and Cracklin Rose. And this will be the final one, trying to knock off Tim Engler's Mission Impossible.
Powell relies on the Chrysler Hemi engine to make the horsepower. Rose, now he did the same thing Engler did. He worked the throttle out on the starting line. It worked a little bit. Now he's got an engine going away. You notice the engine starting to warm up on him in the middle. That's going to cost Engler's going to win this thing. Second major event of the year on the Redman Tour. Engler has won both of them.
Powell will end up in 4th position, but Mission Impossible and Tim Engler really dominated here today. Sassy Massey got up there in the same neighborhood, but Bill Patterson couldn't pull it off. Walsh in the Irish Challenger is 3rd. John Powell and Cracklin Rose finishes 4th. And the Rolling Thunder and Mitch Stifler round out the top 5. Now, here are the points. And you can see Tim Engler, Mission Impossible, with another victory. Lengthens that point lead. Sassy Massey a solid 2nd. Powell's in 3rd in the Cracklin Rose. There's the Walsh Brothers Irish Challenger. Fred Freeman's Mean Mistreater is 5th. Mr. Chevy and Dave Banner, John Heilman's Levi Garrett tied in the 6th spot. Virginia Farmer and Rolling Thunder are tied for 8th. And your tie for 10th, the Fox and Mike Piper's Just Add Dirt. That's the TNT All-American Pulling Series point standing. When we come back, it's Richmond, Virginia, and monster truck action. There are just 4 left. We're going to have the semifinals coming up on Tuff Trax. In Richmond, Virginia, it's the final 4 of the TNT Monster Truck Challenge on Tuff Trax. In the quarterfinals, Carolina Crusher beat Wild Hair and Bob Brain, with Wild Hair ending up sitting on top of the wall. Equalizer knocked off King Crunch in another wild matchup. The other quarterfinal saw Gravedigger beat No Problem for the 2nd time today, and Awesome Kong was truly awesome against Clydesdale. What you have, Army Armstrong, is a true delight of a Final 4. Carolina Crusher against Equalizer, then it'll be Awesome Kong and Gravedigger.
Like taking them up and throwing them all in a big pile. There's no favorite at this point on. Equalizer working the far side of the track. Crusher trying to hold him off. Well, both of them taking bad bounce. Gary Porter is going to go to the finals.
Carolina Crusher gets the win, but you got to tip your hat to David Morris, Gary Cook, and Equalizer after that slip a week ago to come back with a great run today. Still, Porter moves on.
Gary Porter going to the finals, big boy, on a tough night.
It is. It's very tough way to equalize. He's tough. He's running 1st in the points. I'm 2nd, and I'm trying to gain on and take that 1st place points this year.
You're definitely going to gain on him. You just put him out in that round so you can advance or pull up quite a few more points. If you win this thing tonight, only going to take one more race to do that. The starting line set up is going to be the Gravedigger going against Awesome Kong. Do you have any preference who you want to go against in the final?
Well, neither really. But both of them is going to be running strong, and this is going to be a good race coming up.
We'll see you in the final.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome Kong, Steve Kane, Killeen, Texas, the red truck closest to you, and Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson, the home state guy, Chesapeake, Virginia. They're off.
The red lights move out of the right lane. Anderson trying to go to another win. What's going to happen? Oh, it is just unbelievable. Look, Anderson comes around. He shuts her down.
Gets her stopped right in front of the wall, and he did win it by a nose. Look at the fans in Virginia. They love it.
They're proud of their own.
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger gets the win. He puts that black hat on. And now Army Armstrong's going to go over and talk to the finalist, Dennis Anderson.
Dennis Anderson, I'm going to be short and sweet. Gary said he's going to thump you in the final. I asked him if he wanted to run any preference in the final. You're awesome, Kong. He said, I want to get a hold of the Gravedigger. I'm going to thump him right here in his own hometown.
Well, I can tell you what, he might thump me, but it ain't going to be no easy thump.
Army getting him stirred up with the diggers ready to go. It'll be Gravedigger and Dennis Anderson after this sensational run to nose out awesome Kong. They really did come side by side, and look at that. Kong got a little out of shape off of that first set, and that gave Dennis Anderson just enough to pull him by inches at the finish line. What a great race, and we know we've got another sensational race coming up. Old foes, Carolina Crusher and Gravedigger, but a new race. Anything can and will happen here on Tuff Trax.
Well, Scott, the Motorsports fans in Richmond, Virginia are all set for a Chevrolet final. One of them, a 1989 Chevrolet, the Carolina Crusher, going head-to-head with the Gravedigger 1951 Chevrolet.
You know, there's always a lot of differences in these truck styles. One of the things that makes them so popular. These two are very different. And the Chevrolet we saw earlier, the King Crunch, is a very radical new design. Army took a few minutes earlier to talk with Scott Stevens about the King Crunch.
One of the premier drivers in the sport of monster truck racing out of Woodland, Texas, Scott Stevens, has not been on tour with us until now. 1989, you come out with a brand new truck, Scott. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, we've done a lot of changes. You know, we really think the TNT is the future of the monster truck. And our season last year was a little bit unhappy. You know, we really weren't competitive. So we kind of took what we think the best trucks out there right now are Gravedigger and USA 1, and our truck's kind of a takeoff of those two trucks. And we've done a couple of passes with it, and it seems to be working real good.
That's kind of interesting that you would look at your competitors for some ideas, but also you've gone outside the sport of monster truck racing into some other motorsport fields to find out what works there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
And there's a few things. We've added a new autometer computer. That's a new LTM. That way, every pass we make when we come back, you know, it's hard for me to tell the guys, you know, how hard I turned the motor, when it shifted, turn the computer on. We know that it took us a 7-second pass, so we can tell, you know, at 100 feet, it shifted to second, and whenever it shifted to third, or here lately, you know, sometimes it hadn't been shifting.
Well, Armin, there's no doubt. Scott Stevens, the King Crunch gang, they've got their act together, and there's a good chance we're going to see him in a final very, very soon. But tonight, we're ready for the final, and it's Gravedigger and Dennis Anderson against Carolina Crusher and Gary Porter.
Anderson lines up. Al Goss pulls them up into the staging lane. The eeriness of those red lights, when that truck rolls into a final, the red lights come on, that means the Gravedigger's in town. A partial crowd, they would love to see him win it. Who does he go up against? The Carolina Crusher, and believe me, this kid would love nothing more than to beat the Gravedigger in his own home state. North Carolina versus Virginia, let's see what's going to happen. It's going to be a shot for two.
Off the line, it's a good start for both of them, side by side, to the second set of cards. Crusher's got the edge. Carolina Crusher and Gary Porter are going to take home the silver flag. He takes it away from the Gravedigger, head-to-head in the championship matchup. And Gary Porter had talked about wanting to move in. Look at this. He has moved to within 1 point of David Morris and the equalizer. It has been a great day for Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher at Richmond, Virginia. Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger, a strong third. You saw the top five. Wild Hair, Mad Dog, No Problem, Stomper, and Clydesdale rounding out that top 10. Bennett Clark Clydesdale moving into the top 10 for the first time in several weeks. But the win to Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher as he'll take the silver flag from Dennis Anderson.
Congratulations on a good run. You told us you were going to go after your good friend. Now, he's your good friend until you guys get into that truck, and then you kind of turn into more of an enemies out there, don't you?
He is, you know, I'm always back there in the pits working on his truck and trying to teach him something. Then we come out here and, you know, I have to sandbag to let him win.
Well, now, we're going to let you get over. I think there's something behind us. You want to go get off his truck. Now, Dennis Anderson, it's a well-known fact that you are the best-looking monster truck driver. That's what you told us to say no matter what happened out here. You lost the flag tonight. Can you get it back?
Yeah, I'm going to get it back. I didn't really lose the flag. I gave the flag to him. But next week, he's going to pay the toll, Jack, because I get the flag back.
Next week, it'll be in Buffalo, New York, when Dennis will try and take it back here on Tuff Trax. What a great championship final it was. The win this week to Carolina Crusher. We'll look forward to another great week of TNT Motorsports action next week, right here on Tuff Trax.